Hello YouTubers, viewers, subscribers, and admirers of this channel. I am your gracious host on this channel. My name is Joe. It is great to finally look at you sort of face to face, one-on-one. I wanted to do this new series on here because, well, I never expected this channel to take off so much, and now that I have over 1,000 subscribers, I think already 1,100, I just beat it this morning. I wanted to start doing something special instead of, well, not instead of, but a little extra something instead of just posting the full-length Dark Ambient, drone, and related genre videos. So, what I'm going to do is start a new series on this channel where occasionally I will talk about Dark Ambient music. My favorite albums, my favorite Dark Ambient creators. Some other things I want to talk about is just ways I use Dark Ambient music and how I've used it, for many years now, since I've been listening to this type of music since late 90s, probably. So I have about 20 years of experience in this genre. I also, as you may or may not know, I create Dark Ambient music myself, so I may post techniques or just videos showing me working, something like that. But it should be pretty exciting, hopefully, and it won't just be the same old thing all the time on the channel. Not that any of you seem to really be having a problem with that, because the subscribers keep coming in, and the views keep coming in, and the positive comments keep coming in, so obviously you're very pleased with it, so that's a good thing, and I'm going to keep doing that, because I have a lot of Dark Ambient albums in some form or another, mostly CD, but lots of digital stuff too. So the whole idea for doing this new series kind of came recently when I just got bored and I was drinking a few beers and started watching these heavy metal collection videos on YouTube where, people show off their vintage black metal original presses and stuff like that and their huge vinyl collections, and it got me thinking alright, has anyone ever done their Dark Ambient collections on YouTube? And I did a quick search expecting there to be tons of them, and I couldn't find anything. I mean, maybe I was searching the wrong thing, but I couldn't find anyone doing something similar. So maybe it's just a heavy metal thing to show off your, your wares, but why is it gotta be just a heavy metal thing? So it's gonna be a Dark Ambient thing too, or at least I'm gonna make it a Dark Ambient thing to do it too. So, you're probably wondering what kind of albums I'm gonna be talking about. Well, probably a lot of albums that I've already actually uploaded on this channel. You've heard them yourself, you enjoyed them. Now I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about them if you haven't taken the time to research them. We're going to be talking about albums like this one. Who is this mystery band? You've probably heard it before, but do you know all the details behind its release? Or do you know about this album? Do you know the mysteries that lie with it? And what about this classic album? Well, a classic in my world anyway. It should be a classic in more Dark Ambient listeners' world. And if time permits, we may even talk about, oh yes, this album. But we may talk about some other things first, before we get to that album. Now that I'm kind of finally getting through this little intro here, I should just say that I'm planning on filming this over the next couple days. So if my clothes change, or if it's light or day in the background, or my hair's different, or my voice sounds different for some reason, that's why. So just so you don't think you are going crazy or anything like that. That is my plan, is to film this over the next few days. So one thing though, I can tell you right now that will probably be a constant in every video is that I am going to be drinking. In this particular case, I have some home-brewed mead, and it is exceptional. A friend of mine did it, he is really good at it. I have really bad social anxiety, you could probably tell from watching already, and this takes the edge off a little bit, and, well, maybe I'll get better at this, talking on cameras and talking to people thing the more I do this. So, cheers to that. Let's get to the music. it's been 24 hours since I recorded that intro, and hopefully you haven't turned the video off. If you have, well, I guess you have. You're gonna miss out on some fun stuff, believe me. So I've been contemplating for the past 24 hours which album to start with, and you know what? When I really started to think about it, there are a lot of really fucking good Dark Ambient albums out there. But I decided to just go with one of my all-time favorite albums, an album I've been listening to since its initial release back in 2004. And that album is Atrium Carceri's Seishinbyouin. How's that pronounced again, Google Translate? Seishinbyouin. Seishinbyouin. She sounds angrier each time I press the button. Alright, well, that's how it's pronounced, and apparently it means mental hospital, and that's Japanese. Which is no surprise, because there's quite a few samples from Japanese movies or animes on this album, too. The name, it's Atrium Carceri, which I'm probably also pronouncing wrong, means something like mental prison or something like that, or court prison something. Well, I don't know what Simon Heath intended, but that's what I think it means when I tried to translate it, so there you go. Of course, Simon Heath you may also know nowadays as the label boss and founder of the prestigious Cryo Chamber label, which is undoubtedly the biggest label for dark ambient music these days. But back in 2004, Simon Heath was still living in Sweden, and he was probably like a young, 24, 25-year-old guy only, just started out in the music business or whatever. And of course, this album was released on Cold Meat Industry, and, I think when this album came out, he really proved that he was going to be, a leader in the genre one day, and flash forward to 2018 where we're at now, and sure enough, he is, the leading guy in the scene, not just with the label, but with the band itself, too. All of his projects are incredible, and everything he does is really freaking good, so I guess that's just everything coming full circle or something. I don't know. Oh, good. You're still here. It's Bloody Mary o'clock. Well, anyway, let's talk about Seishinbyouin! So what really makes this album special and different, especially at the time of its release, was that Simon went for a totally different approach to composing the music. Previous to this, all Dark Ambient was usually super long songs, usually in that 10 to 15, even 20-minute range. And on this album, he went for more of a soundtrack kind of style, where the songs were all more in that 3 to 4 minute range, or even shorter, and they all fit, more of that into that genre where they would sound more proper in like a horror film or a video game, computer game kind of setting. And in a lot of ways, because of that, maybe it's hard for some people to even classify this as a Dark Ambient album. But everyone's got a different, idea of what Dark Ambient is, of course, and I personally consider it a Dark Ambient album. Now, it is important to mention that this was actually Simon's second album. The first album, Cell Block, was quite good, but I think because I just happened to hear this album first, it kind of changes my perspective on things. I don't know how that works out, but it's just the way it is, I guess. I don't know. So, that album was quite good, but this one was a lot more diverse, and I just feel like he really, found his sound, or found his voice, as they say. My understanding is that this album was supposed to sound like some sort of hellish prison ward, or, I don't know, messed up hospital where, unknown, forbidden surgeries were going on. It has this very dark atmosphere to it, very much similar to the Silent Hill video games when you were in the hospitals. And funny enough, I remember back in those early 2000 time period, I was playing this album a lot while playing through Silent Hill 2, and it just synced up perfectly with it. And, it's just got that totally, psychological horror vibe to it that it's perfect for that sort of cinematic, atmosphere and that setting. It's absolutely wonderful. And Simon he must have just really done his homework and just spent a countless amount of hours working on this album, because he absolutely nailed it with this one. As I'm sure all of you appreciate within Dark Ambient, it's always the atmosphere that really draws you, and And this one is just has that, you know, psychological horror and this really ghostly ambience that's, I think, well, for this release in particular, it's very unique, and I've never really heard it outside of this project. So Simon, you know, he's really got, you know, this unique sound that's just never been touched, and only he's been able to create it, which is incredible, you know. Not just in dark ambient music, but in music in general. It's so rare to find someone that's totally unique and can keep that consistency throughout each release too. You know, it's got this ghostly, haunting presence around you, and if you actually allow it to do so, I mean, if you listen to this album like I used to listen, and back when it first came out, I was living with my parents still, and I was sitting in the basement in the dark with some candles lit, and I'm playing, and it can be really creepy, and it can be really intimidating if you know, are in that setting or whatever, you know. It has that potential to do it to you if you really allow your mind to wander. And this album is perfect for that. Really interesting things going on along, you know, the typical dark ambient kind of structure of these songs too. I mean, songs like Incubation and Warden, they're much quicker songs. They're under 3 minutes, and they're very like intense and very, you know, intimidating again, where, you know, it feels like, you know, you're watching a movie and something very dramatic's gonna happen, like someone's gonna die or some horrible creature's gonna pop out, or it's not gonna end well. These songs are awesome. I love them. And these were the first 2 songs I actually heard from this project, and someone posted it on a message forum back then. It was actually on this message forum for this record label called Venless Records. Someone posted it on there. And as soon as I heard it, I instantly ordered the CD. I didn't hesitate for even an hour. I went right on Cold Meat Industries label and got it. It was absolutely a must-buy right after I heard those songs. So, I mean, you know, outside of that, too, there's also little characteristics that really stick out. I mean, there's these really creepy, demonic voices that just pop in here and there, and there's, you know, there's industrial beats that pop out, and those are mixed with the dark characteristics, the dark ambient characteristics, and some minor noise, industrial kind of stuff going on here and there. There's also a few songs towards the end of the album that have samples from Japanese movies or anime, and this also really resonated well with me at the time, because in the early 2000 period of my life, I was super into anime and super into Japanese cinema. In fact, I was watching so many Japanese movies at the time that I didn't even know what was going on in, you know, like American or Hollywood cinema. I had no idea. I was just watching Japanese movies and Korean movies, and well, I was just really into the Asian cinema thing for whatever reason. I don't even recall, but it was a phase I went through and am now done with. But I don't know. That was what I was into at the time, and it was just incredible to hear that coming through in a, you know, in a dark music project like this. And, you know, back then it gave me a lot of ideas about, you know, wanting to do a full album of dark ambient music myself, where I sampled music from, you know, anime and movies, but, well, that never happened, but I guess I could still consider the possibilities for later, right? Also mentioned that the artwork is really interesting, and Simon, I guess, did all the artwork and all the photography for it as well. I'm gonna assume that that's him on the cover posing as some sort of female model. I mean, this version right here is the original Cold Meat Industry Press, and it has been more recently re-released on Simon's Cryo Chamber label, but here, you know, on this original pressing, there's a little more expanded artwork. Here, just take a look at it. Oh, well, it's going to focus on your story as usual. But yeah, lots of really, I mean, he obviously took his time and, you know, did this whole photo shoot and all this whole ideas for characters and everything. And there's these texts in here that kind of go along. I guess it helps explain the story and everything, you know. And I'm sure, as you guys know, you know, with Cryo Chamber nowadays, he does all the artwork and all the photography and mastering and producing for those albums, so he's an incredibly talented guy. I guess this release also came with a little flyer too for Cold Meat Industry. Let's see what we got here. Oh, releases galore. Stuff that I probably should have bought because it's out of print now. Oh man, I should have bought that one. Yep. Well, that's gonna about do it for this review, you know, collection, mentioning, whatever this is turning out to be. I don't even really know, but I'm having fun with it, and I'm hoping you're enjoying watching it too. Anyway, that is definitely one of one of my absolute highest recommendations is Atrium Carceri's Seishinbyouin, and finding original pressing might be difficult and might be expensive, but it's worth it if you can come across it. Otherwise, just pick up the new version on Cryo Chamber. It's like $15, and it's a cool digipack, and it's worth it no matter what you pay for it. So definitely get your hands on it. Earlier, this is Beneath the Lake's Inside Passage. Beneath the Lake was a short-lived dark ambient duo between Dave Canterbury and Nicholas Lambert, who were both from Black Earth, Wisconsin. Between 2002 to 2005, they released two brilliant, very underrated records on the Glass Throat Recordings record label from Portland, Oregon. The concept behind Beneath the Lake's music was to create a mix between the natural world and the synthetic world, a place where both meet and coalesce and equal as one. Field recordings are huge here, and apparently everything was recorded in the late 90s in Alaska. Sounds of whales, owls, wolves, and water, wind are all present, but they're heavily processed and turned into these nightmare sounds. Now, by 2018 standards, what I just mentioned probably doesn't sound that unique or special, but back in 2002, having an overabundance of field recordings and processing them was still, I think, a pretty new thing in the dark ambient scene. It's also really important to note that there's no synthesizers used on this recording. It's just processed guitar, effects pedals, cello, and I believe organs too were used to create the sounds. So it's really different in that regard too, which, again, going back to 2002, that was unheard of. Now, Inside Passage is a record with a very special atmosphere. I mean, of course it's dark and it's brooding, and that's a staple of dark ambient music, but there's more going on here. It has a soothing character, it's relaxing, it's also very meditative as the droning bliss continues onward through this record. I mean, it's a great album to listen to while relaxing, passing into sleep, or just reading in general. This is the record you're really going to want to use, and I have used this album many times to cure insomnia too. I mean, there are some more active moments, especially when some of the field recordings really take off, but I feel like if you're sleeping, I think you can ignore them either way. But I mean, this is an album I truly love and I've listened to so many times since its release back in 2002. Two songs that really must be highlighted are Tree Descendant and Temporal Tributary. Tree has this really eerie reverse guitar riff that's just, I don't know, it's beautiful but melancholy and very hair-raising. It really affects you, and it will instantly draw you to the song. It's so memorable to me, and just the way they did this song was immense. It's something. Temporal Tributary, on the other hand, is almost certainly the most abrasive song on this recording, as it features this heavily processed owl shrieking sound that just has been turned into this thunderous, beast-like sound that is mixed in with real light droning sounds on this song. And I mean, it's definitely one that's going to stand out because it's really a bit different from everything else on this recording. But at the same time, it's one you could possibly skip if you're trying to relax, and because of its, harsh nature. But that aside, it is interesting, unique in its structure and the way it flows. Kutna Hora is another really interesting track on this record. It's also as short as just a little over 3 minutes. It's a very basic piano melody kind of song, but it's atmospheric and it's attention-grabbing. The final song on the record, Nature Devastated, is almost 20 minutes long, and for the most part it's a very warm, droning song, but as it reaches its end it gets more abrasive, more of the field recordings kick in, and it just really takes a turn down a darker path. It's awesome. Beneath the Lake was an unfortunately short-lived project, as he only released music for a 3-year period from 2002 to 2005. And apparently after that, the band broke up or just went on hiatus. Doesn't seem to be any really known answer to that. But both Dave and Nicholas did go on to play in a hardcore band called Malachi in 2009, but they seem to be not involved in any music since then either, which is a shame, because they really are talented individuals, and it would really be interesting if they come back to the Dark Ambient scene, make a new album with Beneath the Lake, or even just a new project. Apparently these guys were also from some small town in Wisconsin called Black Earth, which I looked up, and funny enough is probably no more than an hour from where I live, so I don't know, since I couldn't find any Facebook presence for these guys, it really makes me want to like go there and just like wander down the biggest street shouting out their names until someone points me towards their house. Well, not really, but it sure would be great to see these guys make a new Beneath the Lake album someday. So finally, just to show off the album a little bit, here's the front cover, which is just a photographed island out in probably the middle of a lake. It's a very simple aesthetic, but it's effective and it works with the music. Especially since the music kind of has a very watery and misty kind of feel to it. The booklet itself feels like it's printed on kind of a heavier cardstock material than most CD booklets. And it opens up, it just has more photography and just some basic information on the field recordings. And the other side is just information on what each member performed. CD, and then behind that is once again another photograph with recording information, and the back cover with the track listing. It's also really important to note that this album can usually be found used for just a few dollars. In fact, I just checked the Discogs website and you can grab a copy for only $3, and I have to say, it's worth several dollars more than that, but if you can grab this album for $3, I highly recommend it. It is fantastic. I can't say that enough about this album. Well, that about does it for episode 1, and if you made it this far, I reward your bravery. No, seriously, thank you everyone for checking out this channel. It really means a lot to me that you guys are, appreciating and really, getting into everything I'm posting, because I never would have expected this channel to go this far, so it's been pretty exciting and kept me on the tip of my toes. So yeah, again, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I got some more ideas. This is Bailey, the Dark Ambient cat. She's been bothering me the whole time I've been doing these episodes, because that's the way she is. There she goes. Or not. Anyway, once again, thank you guys. Now it is important to mention. Now it is important to mention that this was Simon's second album under the Atrium Carceri moniker. His first album, Cell Block, came out a year earlier, and it was quite a good record. But I think because I heard Seishinbyouin first, it kind of, you know, it's just, you know, I'm really not good at this right now. I'm thinking, like, okay, there's probably someone out there that's done their Dark Ambient collection videos, right? No. I couldn't find nothing, and I was like, well, it's time to change that. And then I remembered I had this old, what the fuck you call this thing? Webcam on YouTube where, you know, basically people talk about their favorite black metal albums, or they post pictures of their rare, or you might ask yourself, what kind of albums am I going to be talking about? Well, I'm going to be talking about albums like this one, Beneath the Lake. I'm going to be talking about albums such as this one. Focus. Ah. My little joke there. And remember, no drinking in the Dark Ambient theater. Wait, what? No. No kissing in the Dark Ambient theater. Drinking is... I gotta stop spoiling things. Fucking so much goddamn Varga McCarran. You heard... God damn it, I keep pointing. What the fuck? You heard my manager. No kissing, no touching, no fucking, none of that in the Dark Ambient theater. Drinking? Always allowed, though. On with the show. Mentioned earlier, this is... Two songs that really must be highlighted are Tree Descendant and...